A new ABC News Ipsos poll gives Kamala Harris a lead in a close race among likely voters, with the vice president currently ahead of Donald Trump, 52 to 46%, a 6-point difference that is outside the margin of error. The data came in before the apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump yesterday, but it's still only the second major poll to put Harris in the lead that is outside the margin of error in the 2024 campaign cycle so far. Here to talk about it, Lance Trover, Republican strategist and former presidential campaign spokesman for Doug Burgum, and Jeremy Peters is here, a New York Times reporter and MSNBC contributor. So this poll, obviously the second poll in a row, shows her just barely outside the margin of error. When do folks start looking at it and say, oh, it's a trend?
Right. Well, I think they need to be looking at the swing state polls rather than these national polls. I mean, that shouldn't be surprising because Biden and going back to 2016, Hillary Clinton won the national popular vote. It wasn't even close. Millions of votes you're talking about separated Trump and the Democratic nominees. I think what you're seeing in the swing states, what's becoming increasingly clear after even all of these big events, shootings, debates, that it remains very, very tight. And even though Kamala Harris had a debate, no one would question that she really, really cleaned up there. A one debate doesn't mean a one presidential election.
So, Lance, you were deep in the GOP presidential primary just a few months ago. I know you've got connections. You talk to folks. What are you hearing? Because it's hard, really, to sort of discern what all these polls mean when so much happens so fast. Give us a real sense of how this new polling squares with what you're hearing about this race.
Well, I think what we've learned in the last 24 hours is that debate is ancient history, and we're moving forward now. I think if you're the Trump campaign, there's a lot of positive aspects that have been true and remain true going forward. If ABC had a poll out 4 years ago that had Donald Trump down 10 points, and he consistently is polling better both in battleground states and nationally when it comes to these polls that he did in 2016 and 2020. So there's a lot of positive aspects, I think, for them to look at right now. I think you also look at consistently he polls at least 7-8 points, sometimes double digits higher on the economy, which is the #1 concern among voters out there. He also polls double digits higher on when it comes to immigration, which is also probably the second most important issue to voters out there. So there's a lot of things I think the Republicans and the Trump campaign are hanging their hat on, saying, look, this is not a bad place to be considering where we were in 2016 and where we were in 2020. And I think if you're the Harris campaign, there's also this little nugget hanging out there. Donald Trump has an ability to bring out non-traditional voters. These are people who don't answer polling calls. They don't show up to the polls all the time, but they will show up and vote for him. And I think if you're the Harris campaign, that's probably something that keeps them up at night.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy, I don't think there's anybody who's experienced on either side who thinks that they've got a 100% take on who's going to win here. Your colleague Nate Cohn at the Times just posted, I think in the last hour, a new analysis that this latest look at the polls that have been coming out look like a near repeat of the 2020 election, but based on voters that you talk to, I know all the time, sources you're speaking to, and frankly, what we just saw yesterday. What are the chances that anything holds? Everything feels more and more like a real snapshot in time.
Right. And yesterday, look what happened. I mean, that's rather than try to predict what kind of impact the attempted assassination might have on the race overall, I think that incident is just a reminder of how volatile the country is right now and how there can be one incident, one eruption that unsettles the election at any given moment. I mean, we've seen this time and time again in the Trump era. There are just these unpredictable news cycle cataclysmic events, and anything can happen between now and election day. It's not even in October. We haven't had our October surprise yet, but I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if we do indeed get one. And let's not forget that, you know, Kamala Harris has only had 6 weeks, 7 weeks or so to sell herself to voters.
We do sometimes forget that.
Right? And as strategists have told me, she's famous, but she's unknown. She's presenting her case, her vision for the country in a clearer, more detailed way since the debate. and even before then. But people still need to be sold on her in these swing states. Voters, the relative few who are still on the fence. If you look at the latest New York Times polling, 28% of the country, the likely electorate, said that they need to know more about her. So I think that's her challenge over the next few weeks until Election Day.